Hey everybody, it's Larry, and last week we did a video on color coding for results. And today I wanted to do a small follow-up on that, and the reason is the colors that we've been given, as you can see for the DNA beta colors, they're a bit hard to distinguish at times. And just looking at them, unless you have some kind of organization to them, it really isn't useful. I mean, you can hover over them and the tooltips help you, but it's really important to get a sense of what these people are, who these people are, just by looking at them. I mean, that's kind of the advantage of color coding in general. So what I've done is I created a color coding system that was easy for me to use and distinguish, and I think you might find it helpful too if you're segmenting off your lines. So let's get to it. What I did was I started with a group, and I just called the group All Relatives. Now, we don't have to color code this group because we know everybody in the DNA match list is a member of All Relatives. And then you can see up in the top left, I moved our colors that we are to use up to the top left. So what I wanted to do next is I added maternal. So I took the dot, and you can see I put a black shade behind it up at the top, and I pulled it down to the middle, and I turned it into a subset circle. And this, I did this for visual representation. I won't do that for every one of them, but for this one, I want you to know that I took that color and matched it and moved it down and made it a subset for maternal. And then I did the same thing for paternal with the color right next to it, which is the purple. And it was kind of important to use these two colors, and you'll see that more here in just a minute. So we're going to start with the maternal line. And what I did was I went all the way to the left. And what I'm going to do, and I'll just tell you up front, is the ones to the right are going to be for the paternal line, and ones to the left are going to be for the maternal line. I'll start calling them mother and father. Maybe that's better. But over on the far left, in the second row, first one, there's a yellow. And I used it to represent the mother's father. And the reason I use the yellow and is because it's very easily distinguished from the other colors by looking. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use something in the color wheel. When you have a color that's darker, it's called a shade, and you have a color that's lighter, it's called a tint. So we're going to go the darker. The shades are going to be the males in all of our examples, and the tints are going to be the females in all of our examples. So as you see, below is a shade of the yellow, and that gives you an orangey color. And above is a tint of yellow, which gives you this very light yellow color. And so what I've done now is I've said, okay, in the yellow set, which is my mother's father's line, that is going to be divided up. The shade would be the father, and the tint will be the mother. So I can tell just by looking, if they're in yellow, they're going to be on my mother's father's side. And if they're a light yellow, I can tell mother's father's maternal side, mother's father's paternal side if it's shaded. So we'll go on to the next one. It'll make more sense as we go along. So now what I did is I went over to, because if I stay kind of close, those oranges kind of mix together. So I went over 2 columns, second row, and I started with the one in the middle again, and I'll always start with the one in the middle. And it's kind of an orangey color, maybe a rose orangey color, depending on the screen that you have. So what we did was we went below again for the shades, which is the darker color for the males, and the tints, which is the one right above it, for the females. And so now you can kind of see that just by color coding, there's not going to be a lot of confusion, or at least not as much as we just use them randomly. And then the next thing I did, I go the same thing over on the paternal or father's side. And again, this time I went all the way to the far right, and I did the green that was in the middle. And to subset that out, I used the dark green for his father's father, and I used the light green, the tint, for his father's mother. Okay, so you can kind of see how the colors are starting to group together and kind of stand out, especially the more we have of here. And then for the father's mother's line, we're going to use a blue, which I really thought about that for a while because, it's blue and your first instinct is for the males. But again, we're talking about color coding to make it visually easy to distinguish where they are in the line. So after a lot of consideration, there really wasn't much other way to do it unless we started using the oranges, which were going to be confusing with the maternal line, and we wouldn't be able to tell them apart. So I decided to stick with the blue. And again, we started in the middle, and for the father, we went to the shade, and for the mother, we went to the tint. And with that, now you can kind of see how it's all kind of playing together. So if I have a color-coded pink, I know it's on my mother's side of the family. Maybe I haven't been able to subdivide it yet. I just know they're somewhere on my mother's side. I haven't been able to find any branches to divide that out better. Same thing with the purple. I know it's over on the father's side. I don't know maybe where. But now, let's say that I can divide them off. And I'm finding that, okay, on my paternal side, I know my father's family. You know, I've been able to identify that. I don't know which group yet. I can use that all in green. And then once I get a little further up, I can start doing a dark green and light green to represent my father's father or father's mother. Same thing with the blues, same thing with the yellows, same thing with the oranges. And those colors, as you can see, they do kind of stick out and let you know that they're quite a bit different. And so what I've done here is I just put the, F for female and M for male, a little, coding system. There's lots of them out there, but, one that is kind of used quite a bit. You have F for the female line, F for the male, FF for females, female, FM for the females, mother or male, and then you go FFF, FFM, and you can kind of see it on there. And that's what the colors are actually representing. So what you've done is by using the color scheme, without the confusion of the F's and the M's, you've got this color scheme that visually you can tell them apart. These are the colors that are there. I mean, I used the Photoshop and did the picker. So what you see is the actual colors. I just made the sets bigger so that you can see them. And you can see here, each one is represented, with what they are, and you can really tell them apart. And after a very short time, pink, purple, that's pretty distinguishable. Green and blue, very distinguishable. Yellow, orange, very distinguishable. If it's some kind of orange, well, I still know that it's in the, female line, okay? And then I know if it's light, well, then again, it's the maternal, and if it's darker, it's in the male line. And in the yellow, if it's very, very light, again, the female line, darker, and the same thing with the blue and the green. If it's light, the lighter it is, it's going to be over in the female lines. If it's darker, it's over in the male lines. So not only do I have my green, blue, yellow, and orange, when it gets, I know it's an orangey color. Is it a dark orange, light orange, a dark yellow, light yellow, dark green, dark blue, light blue, So just by looking at that now, I can go back 2-3 generations and beyond just by looking at the color codes and segmenting them off. Anyway, I hope you found that as useful as I did. I know that the colors were really close together, and I started having to hover over every time I was looking to see how that person matched. And, with those dots being pretty small and moving the cursor on it, that kind of got to be annoying. So because some of the colors were so similar, I've changed mine, and it's really easy to change. All you do is click on edit group and boom, you're there. Now, I wouldn't name them maternal, paternal, or FF or FFM because that's really not useful. So in my case, I know the maternal line, my mother is Perryman, my father's line was Brown. So I did maternal, Perryman, paternal, Brown. And then when I did the father's mother, that's a McFarland. So my MF represented here would be paternal McFarland. And then above that was, McFarland and Clark. And I was able to, divide those out and put the surnames there. It's very handy. Don't just put FF and FM and MF and MM and things like that. Go ahead and put your surnames in the group names. I just recommend using the colors, because if you use these colors, it's going to really help you when you just look at them to be able to tell them apart, or at least it did for me. I hope it helped you. Well, if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. Tell all your friends if you've subscribed. Thank you very much. I appreciate it more than you know, and I appreciate your comments. If you haven't subscribed, click the subscribe button, click the bell notification to be notified when a new video comes out. And quick shout out to all of you who have subscribed, and hopefully you're watching it, you'll subscribe. But thank you. We started 1 month ago. Not really even thinking about subscribers. You know, it was just going to make a few videos to help some friends because I, try to help people out quite a bit with this, and it kind of took off. In the first week, we had 100 subscribers, and at the end of the second week, we had 250. At the end of the third week, we had over 500, and at the end of the month, we're over 750. Getting close to 800 now. I don't know what it is by the time the video gets uploaded, but over 750. And I said that once we get to 1,000, or if we get to 1,000, I will donate or give away a free AncestryDNA kit to one of the subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed, subscribe, get entered in the drawing, get your friends to come over here and subscribe, and that way we'll have the drawing sooner. I'm kind of excited. We're almost there. That's another big milestone. I told you that every time you get to a milestone, it kind of unlocks some of the features in YouTube, and that unlocks all but one or two once we get to 1,000. So that's really cool, kind of exciting. And when we get to 1,000, we'll start putting a little bit more time into the videos to get you a little higher quality, so you don't just hear me in the background. Maybe even do that Alfred Hitchcock cameo hidden somewhere in the videos. Anyway, thank you all again. Appreciate you very much. You guys have a great day.